I've always thought of Uber as a convenient way to get around the city, but after what happened to me one eerie night, it'll never feel the same. It was late, well past midnight, and I had just finished a long shift at work. Exhausted, I opened the Uber app and booked a ride home. The driver, Jack, had excellent reviews, and the car pulled up almost immediately. As I slid into the back seat, a chill ran down my spine. The air inside the car was strangely cold, and an uneasy feeling settled over me. Jack seemed friendly enough, though, with a warm smile and a polite greeting. We exchanged small talk as he navigated through the dimly lit streets. As we drove further away from the bustling city center, the streets grew darker and more desolate. I tried to shake off the unsettling feeling, blaming it on my fatigue. But then, I noticed something odd. Jack's eyes kept darting to the rearview mirror, and his hands gripped the steering wheel tighter than necessary. We passed through a particularly deserted area when the car suddenly came to a halt. I glanced out the window, confused. There were no traffic lights, no stop signs, just an empty, eerie stretch of road. "Why did we stop?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. Jack turned around to face me, his eyes glinting with an emotion couldn't quite place. "I just need to check something." "Won't be a minute," he said, his tone strangely flat. As he stepped out of the car, I felt a wave of panic. I wanted to lock the doors, but I couldn't bring myself to move. Through the rearview mirror, I watched Jack walk around the car, disappearing into the darkness. Minutes passed, and he didn't return. My anxiety grew, and I fumbled for my phone to call for help. Just as I dialed the number, the passenger door suddenly opened, and Jack slid back into the driver's seat, startling me. "Everything's fine. Just a small issue with the engine," he said, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. We resumed the journey, but something was different. The atmosphere in the car felt heavy, almost oppressive. I could barely breathe, my chest tightening with every passing second. I glanced at my phone, trying to distract myself, but then I saw it. The map on the Uber app showed that we were moving away from my destination. We were heading into a remote area, far from my home. "Jack, you're going the wrong way," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. He didn't respond, his eyes fixed on the road ahead. Panic surged through me. I considered jumping out of the moving car, but the doors were locked. My heart pounded in my chest as I desperately searched for a way out. Suddenly, the car veered off the road and came to a stop in front of an old, abandoned warehouse. Jack turned to me, his face now devoid of the friendly facade. "We've arrived," he said, his voice dripping with malice. I lunged for the door handle, but it was no use. Jack moved with alarming speed, grabbing my arm and pulling me towards the warehouse. I screamed, kicking and fighting, but his grip was ironclad. Inside the warehouse, the air was thick with the smell of decay. The darkness was almost palpable, and I could hear faint whispers echoing through the empty space. Jack dragged me deeper into the building, and that's when I saw Themshadows moving in the darkness, eyes gleaming with malevolence. My mind raced, searching for a way to escape. In a moment of sheer desperation, I stomped on Jack's foot with all my might. He howled in pain, his grip loosening just enough for me to break free. I ran faster than I ever had, my heart pounding in my ears. Behind me, I could hear Jack's furious shouts and the echoing footsteps of the shadows that pursued me. I didn't dare look back. Bursting out of the warehouse, I spotted a small, rundown house with a faint light flickering in the window. I sprinted towards it, praying that Sumionani would help me. I pounded on the door, and to my immense relief, an elderly woman answered. "Please, help me, he's after me," I gasped, tears streaming down my face. The woman's eyes widened in understanding. She pulled me inside and locked the door just as Jack reached the porch. He pounded on the door, screaming for me to come out, but the woman stood firm. "You're safe now," she whispered, her voice soothing. "He can't get in here." I stayed with the woman until the police arrived. They searched the warehouse but found no trace of Jack or the shadows. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. The police never found Jack, and the mystery of that night remains unsolved. To this day, I can't explain what happened or what those shadows were. All I know is that I'll never get into another Uber again.